Number 9, perhaps higher on the list than other people may have thought for this quarterback. Your number 9 quarterback is?
Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, hey, the runner, the athlete, the leader, all of that, right? The thrower getting better and better. Everything's getting better there. But, I mean, I think when you started off with him, the first thing that just I think is the headline is he's one of the ultimate leaders in the NFL at the quarterback position. I don't think you can deny that. I mean, again, now the end of the year left a little weird taste in our mouth, but I just, for a year and 11 games, the team talked about him like he was Tom Brady on the regular, right? Like it was just any clutch situation, we believe Hurts is going to do it. We're going to do it. He's going to do it. He's going to do it, right? So that's real there, right? And this is where, again, with Jared Goff overcame some things in his career that we talked about. Jalen Hurts, same thing here. I mean, Jalen Hurts, the other thing is I just sat there and watched this. He's a guy who worked himself from being that athlete who plays quarterback to a guy now who I go, he's a quarterback who's a good athlete. He's a quarterback. He is, right? The knock on Jalen Hurts for the longest time, his first few years starting was, if you can get him to play quarterback, you can beat the Eagles, right? If you can keep him in the pocket, not let the quarterback design runs, and his scrambling beat you, and he's got to throw just the football and do that, he won't beat you on the regular, or at least beat the really good teams. I don't think you're going to be able to say that anymore. I don't think that's going on anymore. I saw great improvements in that area last year, and I see the throwing and the play in the pocket continuing to get better. And I told you, too, right before the pod, like I went back because, there's a few games I'm sitting there watching over the last few days, and I'm just going, man, it's, I love his motion there. Man, his motion's improved a lot in the last few years. And then I went, let me go back and watch 2 years ago and just see his motion then. And I go back and watch 2 years ago, and I go, man, he's made great strides with what he does mechanically and what he does with his arm. And I got to give him credit for that. So, yeah, there's a lot of good here. I'll unpack it more and more as we go here, but go ahead.
So you have notoriously been lower on Jalen Hurts, and you've done it in a way where you've been complimentary about the Eagles and what they have around him.
I was disrespectful and made him the 7th best quarterback in football.
Yeah, that's what he was last year. He was 25 2 years ago. But the improvements that you have seen. So I would have thought 2 years ago when we're talking about Jalen Hurts and what he can do, I would have thought this would be his ceiling. But hearing you talk right there, the improvements that he's made over the past year or two, you feel like Jalen Hurts, if he continues to make some improvements, could be a top 5 quarterback at some point in the NFL.
I do, because the throwing continues to go up, right? What he does in the pocket, throwing the football there too. And I mean, like, when I'm talking about in the pocket, not seeing the field, big throws, not leaving the pocket too early, right? All of that has all gotten much, much better. Right, and there was another point I was going to make there, but yeah, no, there's. Oh, here was I going to say, is, in some ways last year, right, especially the first 10 or 11 games, I would have gone that year, and his play in the first 10 and 11 games to me was almost more impressive than 2 years ago going to the Super Bowl, because last year the offense didn't just physically dominate all the time. And he had Shane Steichen 2 years ago to where the game was so easy at times. It was just like, well, I can play quarterback on this drive and go down, hand it off for 10, throw a screen for 10, throw a lob to A.J. Brown. Oh, touchdown. Whoa, So,
and you made that point.
I've made that point. I know that, right? But last year when you go through it, right, they weren't always having a schematical advantage, right, because of the offensive coordinator issues. They didn't run the ball as consistently dominant as we've seen them run. And he had to make plays, carrying the team, throwing the football, decisions, doing all that. And to me, that's where he made a jump last year. And the fact that he kind of showed me a little bit more that he can carry the team that way. Right? Now, there's things that we need to improve on and all of that for sure. Right? But, with the throwing, the good athlete, we know that. For a guy who's one of the best QB runners in the sport, he has grown to have some of the most incredible patience and toughness in the pocket, right? And he's another guy where I almost feel like at times you could see the demons in him talking. He's like, wow, I want to run right now. But hold on, I'm going to stay right here a little longer and wait. Oh, A.J. Brown's open now. Boom, I'll throw it, right? Where I feel like Jalen Hurts 3 years ago would have just been like, I'm out of here. I'm tucking it away. I'm going to go run around the edge. And all the fans would have gone, oh, my gosh, you can't stop him. He runs for 5 yards or 10 yards, and you just can't stop it. And it's like, no, he could have stayed in the pocket and thrown a 20-yard completion. And that's the last time I checked, 10 or 15 more yards than the 5-yard run. Right. So that, and to me, he's not leaving that on the field nearly as much anymore.
Yeah.
He is really looking to strike to Devontae or AJ. And I love that. And then to add into this, too, just a little bit, the pocket, right? Really good, tough. We know that. Another one like Jared Goff, where he's going to get hit. He don't give a shit. He's going to throw the ball in there. He's a man's man when it comes to standing in the pocket that way. But I would put him in a class of his own with him and Josh Allen at getting out of the damnedest situations in the pocket that you will ever see. I mean, the damnedest. Like, you're going, the pocket's collapsed. I can't even see him. And then all of a sudden he pops out and you're like, what? And then he throws a completion down the field and you're like, what? I can't even believe that just happened. He gets out of some of the, that should be a sack, that should be a sack, that should be a sack. What, he ran for 8? What, he threw a ball after not getting sacked for 15 yards? And, he's incredible that way.
Those plays, too, thinking about them, like I don't think we talk about those plays enough because it takes what will be a definite drive killer, perhaps, to a drive extender.
Exactly.
That's such a huge swing.
He extends third downs a lot and makes the plays there. And, yeah, you're right. Like, instead of being on 1st and 20, and you're going, wait, this team's kind of got them. And then you go, well, oh my gosh. I mean, this team had them here like 4 different times this last 2 series, and he got them out, and they scored 14 points. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah, there is that.
I think the narrative around him, too, and Pete puts in our rundown for every quarterback. He put the one in for Jalen Hurts. 2022 was awesome, but was it a bit of a mirage? Can we blame his underwhelming 2023 on injuries? And he was banged up a little bit. He is a tough guy. He does hang in the pocket, and so he will take some hits here. But he did move up in passing yards, and he had a career high in passing touchdowns as well. So those were the positives, even better than finishing second to Mahomes.
And they weren't running the ball like they were last year, like they did the years before. So it was more on him, right? In a lot of ways for what he had to do last year.
So here's the negative, though.
Yeah.
Here's the negative.
Yeah.
Is that he did turn the ball over quite a bit.
He
15 interceptions. He had 19 his first 3 seasons combined. 20 turnovers last season total, including the fumbles, were 4th in the NFL. And so what do you make of the turnovers, the increase in interceptions for him?
Yeah, well, I think a little bit plays into what we're talking about. He had to carry the team a little bit more,
of that,
right?
Yep.
The new offense, not having a guy, and then not having a guy with nearly the same answers or creativity Shane Steichen had, right? So I think he took a little bit of the burden of, I got to make a play. I got to do this, right? We got to get this going, right? Because he's a leader and he is that kind of guy. I think there's that part of it, right? The other thing is, and I think the other next step to where, he might not be on the same level as some of the guys we're going to talk about in the top 10 coming up, or even some of the guys that, maybe have been around the league a little longer that are not as good as him right now that we've already talked about. The next level of stuff is at the line of scrimmage, control your offense, get us out of this play. Look, this blitz is coming. We got to change it. We got to get it to an audible whatever, right? That would be
any of that?
Well, no, not enough. Not enough answers there. And again, I think part of that is the offensive coordinator. Part of it, too, is him and, hey, get the ball out here. Don't wait so long, right? Where can you get the ball out quickly here and not take a sack? Or, oh, gosh, I'm under trouble. Let me just throw the ball to A.J. Brown. And, oh, no, it's kind of a crowd of people. Damn, I threw an interception, right? Having a better plan and command in that area, I think that is certainly something that, he can improve in his football game, because there's too many games, as and they're too good to where, you just go, wait, you can't get blitzed like this, right? This is going like a disrespectful. And again, some of that is coaching, so I'm not putting all this on Jalen Hurts, right? But I do think there's also things in where I go, wait, this isn't an all-out blitz. Like, he needs to change the protection here. So they got the guys to protect here. They just got to reorganize it. And those are things I think he can get better at for sure.
So Jason Kelce probably did the lion's share of all of that last year, and he will not be there.
That's just what I'm saying.
Exactly
right.
Hurts the tush push,
right,
perhaps there is the guaranteed 1.5 yards at the goal line or close to a first down. So it'll be interesting to see how he navigates that, a new offensive line, a new feel to the offensive line, and new offensive coordinator. You got Kellen Moore there. You got Doug Nussmeier,
yes,
who have traveled together with the Chargers in Dallas before that.
I'm interested to see how it looks.
What do you think?
What's
your gut tell you?
I don't know.
You haven't been the biggest fan always of Kellen Moore. What he's tried to do at other places.
Right. I like him, but I don't love him. And I guess it's just where I'd go, hey, Jalen Hurts, the year they went to the Super Bowl, being in the spread, the read option, some of the quarterback design runs, the way they played that way, that fits them and what they are as a team right now. Kellen Moore, I know, has shotgun and all that too, but he's also, gets under the center a little bit more than what we've seen Jalen Hurts and company do too, and play that way a little bit more of like, hey, we're going to run a traditional run and traditional play action pass. Do they kind of infuse some of that in the offense, or do they kind of just go, no, we like this formula for Jalen Hurts, and now you go off of that? That's where I don't know where it's going to go. I would bet it's that because, man, the Eagles put you in such a predicament with how they spread the field with the two receivers, Dallas Goedert, the way the offensive line plays, he can run the ball, and now we got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, right? To create space just makes sense for their team, right? Now, I know they have the great offensive line. You could also go, well, damn, they can overpower people and do that stuff too, but I think ultimately space is best for them, and that's where, hey, he could still get the motion a little tighter, right? He's another one I would say arm angles could get a little bit better too, right? He's got a few interceptions and things in the game. We talked about this last year where I go, well, yeah, you can't just throw the ball and think the ball's going to go through the guy that's in your face, right? Remember we kind of talked about this? Like, like throw it around him. You got to do some of that, right? His motion can be so standard at times. That's one area you look at. He has tightened it up. It still could be tighter, right? He's like Goff. Damn, does he make a lot of good throws off his back foot. He really does. Sneaky more power in Jalen Hurts' arm than maybe even I've given him credit for over the year, right? He's awesome at throwing left or right. He's really one of the few quarterbacks in football who can run left, and you go, you better defend everything because he can still throw it 20, 30 yards down the field on a full run and be accurate with it, right?
Flip those hips.
Yeah, he can do all that, right? He does have good touch. He's got a very pretty deep ball, fade ball. He is showing anticipation, right? Where I would say like 3 years ago, I'd go, no, if he doesn't see the guy wide open, he won't throw it. Now he's going, like, I got a little feel where he's coming out. Let me put it up in the air there, right? So, that's I think, the big things.
Yeah, there are going to be people that are going to say to you, you're finally seeing it in Jalen Hurts, and you're going to say to them, no, he's better than he was 2 years ago.
I wasn't that bad before. I was just trying to tell everybody he wasn't the best quarterback in football. I was being told at that time that he was the best quarterback in football.
Yeah.
Let's just not forget. That was the context. He's the best player in football right now.
Yeah.
And that was what I pushed back against.
Yeah, he was second best to Mahomes that year in the MVP voting. Let's end it. I think we have some video of him too, so maybe his motion has gotten even better and tighter since the last time you saw him. His rushing, Pro Football Focus did note that his rushing overall did go down a little bit last year. Not as many forced missed tackles, but that could have been a function of him being
injuries
banged
too,
up. Yeah.
right?
All right, what do you think of that motion here?
Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's a lot different looking than it did 2 or 3 years ago, right? He does get his body involved in the throw a little bit more. Right, I wish he would turn his front shoulder in a little bit and get a little bit of those opposites there.
Yeah.
Right? But for the most part, he keeps an arm angle, right, the whole time. He doesn't really let that break. It's just a little bit more of a longer motion than you might see at some of the quarterbacks at the top of the rankings, right?
Yeah.
But still, you can't argue with the results, just like we talked about with Goff. You really can't, right? He gives downfield concepts every chance to work. He has the rare skill, and this is another part of his negative. It's kind of the gift and the curse, because really there's only a few people in football that can do this part. He can look at the rush and also look downfield at the same time. Now, he has some games where I go, you're erring on looking on the rush too much, and you did miss a play or throw here and there, whatever, right? But still, he does have the gift of being able to, like, look down, and then, like, well, he's kind of looking at the rush and moving, okay, but damn, that was a good decision. Holy shit, he threw the ball. It's on the money. All right, boom, boom, boom. Like, I mean, you see that every game.
Yeah.
So that's a rare skill, right? Let me see.
Dang.
Yeah, but like I said, he watched the rush a little too much in some games, and I think he felt the burden of trying to carry the team and do a little too much late in the year. And I think that affected him a little with, turnovers and stuff like that.
This is going to be a challenge for Eagles fans. They don't know how to reconcile this. There was so much positive there about the quarterback, Jalen Hurts, which you would defend yourself that you have been positive about him in the past, but he just was never the best quarterback in the NFL.
And Pete's saying it's the most positive I've ever been around. Well, it's I don't have any anger in the argument anymore, just because I don't have anybody trying to tell me he's the best player in football anymore. So that's what got me juiced up back then. So I was giving him lots of compliments back then too, but I was just trying to make sure everybody knew he wasn't the best quarterback. He's doing great. He's really damn good, right? And again, it's never personal. That's what I just want everybody to know, right? If I saw Jalen Hurts and he was like, hey, you, I heard what you said about me and all that and those other years.
Like
I'd be like,
Goff
hey, I'm sorry.
Game.
Those are just my opinion. I'm sorry. I know you're a great dude, right? The kind of guy where it's just like, hey, like I've said about, JJ McCarthy, like you want your daughter to bring home a Jalen Hurts kind of guy. Like, I mean, he's the man, professional, handles himself the right way. He's got a head coach who's a little volatile and talks crap, and he's the one telling him to shut up and be quiet and do stuff, right? So he's very mature for his age, that I give him a lot of credit for there. Yo, what's up? Thanks for watching, homies. You know it's the off-season, but there's no off-season with Chris Simms Unbuttoned. It's the NFL. It goes all year around, all right? So hit subscribe, please, to hear my thoughts on your favorite team, your favorite quarterback, and, hey, how this season might unfold as we get ready for the 2024 season. We got a better picture, clearer look now that the draft is over, free agency. We know who's playing quarterback for certain teams. So, again, thanks for watching, and remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. Check you out soon.